Hi, and welcome back to your marijuana market update. I am John Ross. I'm stepping in for Matt Battiali this week. He and his family are dealing with an illness in their extended family. So I just want to ask you to join me in thought and in prayer for them, for their peace, for their comfort during a trying and an emotional time. Matt should be back next week with your marijuana market update. But until then, I'm going to dive into perhaps the biggest and best stock in the industry. Want to look at its price chart to kind of look at more of the shorter term trading opportunities we might have in the days and weeks ahead. Before I do that, I want to just remind you, if you like what you see in this marijuana market update, make sure you click the thumbs up, leave us a comment, let us know what you like and what you don't like. Of course, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, so when you come back to YouTube, you can find us real easily. There's even a notification bell I think you can click. You can get notified every time we publish new content to this channel. All right, that said, the stock I want to talk about today is Canopy Growth Corp. And the big news this week is that Constellation Brands has upped its stake in Canopy Growth. It's been a big stakeholder of the company, of the stock, and it has exercised warrants that increased its share in Canopy Growth stock to almost 40%. So big time stakeholder here. And a warrant is just really gives the holder of the warrant the opportunity to take delivery of a stock at an agreed upon price by an agreed upon date. It's very much like a call option, except a warrant is just between the warrant holder and the company directly. They get the shares of the stock from the company upon executing the warrant. Call options basically just a contract between two investors, two traders. And so exercise these warrants, big news this week. And in doing so, Constellation Brands representatives have just reiterated the fact that they really, really believe in Canopy Growth and the fact that they are going to continue to lead the way in this entire industry and really be at the forefront of bringing new, unique products to the market, to consumers, not just in Canada, but especially in the US as federal laws begin to change and shift that become more favorable for recreational and all different other types of cannabis and marijuana products. So we just want to say we agree with Constellation here with their bullishness for the long term for Canopy Growth. You know, every time Constellation really kind of gives the thumbs up on this company, it really helps support the stock price in those critical moments. And so we've seen the stock price really pop around those times when Constellation comes out, really talking up the stock. So we might see that in the days and weeks ahead. So let's look at a chart of Canopy Growth Corp just to kind of get a sense of some of the scenarios that might play out. Here we go. Daily chart of Canopy Growth Corp. The black bars are the price of Canopy. The blue line is the 200-day moving average, which really just gives us a sense of where the price is trading relative to the longer-term trend. And then the red line across the bottom is the 14-day RSI, which gives us really just a sense of how the stock is trading, the strength of the stock in the near term. So that dotted line that's running through the middle of the RSI is just the midpoint, the 50 level. Generally, when the RSI is trading above 50, that tends to mean it's stronger and it's kind of a bullish sign for the stock for the near future. And then when the stock is trading below that 50 level, it tends to be a bearish sign. It's just not trading very strong. And it tends to suggest price weakness in the days, weeks ahead. So right now, hugging kind of that 50, that midpoint, but staying above it. So strength right now for Canopy. Now, when I look at a chart, I use something I call apex movement patterns, or AMPs, and these are just ways of kind of counting the trends and the directions and the waves, which really are determined by emotion and confidence and fear and greed and things. It's really just what determines price action. So, kind of looking at this here, I would draw in a bit of an extension just to see how this, bounce and then kind of consolidation has played out. Looking for maybe 100% extension to near $20 per share on the stock. Didn't quite get there last week when the stock tried to break out. That was something I was looking at a couple weeks ago when I talked about just the industry in general and the ETF MJ. This idea that, this sideways consolidation was just building up steam that would lead to a breakout higher. We got a breakout, but it didn't quite reach the level I was expecting. So that could be a sign of near-term weakness. So if the RSI across the bottom can't hold, then maybe we're looking at a bit more of a decline here, kind of like we saw at the end of last week. Really first target still kind of up there around $20 per share. That's about 22% higher or so from current levels. Now, say we don't get a bounce here, through the rest of this week, then maybe we need to see some type of more of a shakeout of kind of the new buying that's coming into play here. Maybe a bit of a bull trap. So that kind of would give us a bit of a near-term target if we break to new lows, or maybe if the RSI breaks down. It gives us a near-term target back here to that low level. So that's an 18% decline for Canopy Growth in the next couple of weeks. So in one sense, we could see kind of an extension higher, but if not, we see that first. And then maybe from that level, after it's kind of shaken out a lot of this consolidation area, then we see that rally that extends. Now, as you can kind of tell here, that this blue 200-day moving average could come into play and really offer kind of a upside price target for us here, at which point, once we arrive or kind of collide with that 200-day moving average, it could become resistance. So a couple different scenarios here. We are cautiously bullish on Canopy Growth stock in the short term. And the reason I say cautious is because when we look at the broad market, just kind of how it's responding and reacting to a lot of the recession expectations, a lot of the COVID pandemic expectations, and new developments on those fronts. We do think the broad stock market is vulnerable to a sell-off here. It could be simply a correction that just gives traders an opportunity to get back in, as we move back to retest our highs and resume the bull market. Or it could be something a little bit deeper that tests recent lows, maybe even pushes to make new lows because investors still don't know how deep and how bad the recession is going to be. So want to be cautious with our trading in these cannabis stocks, even though we think they're really trying to establish a long-term bottom here, and we like them in the long term. Want to be careful, want to be cautious. So want to just kind of lay out some of these alternative scenarios for you. If you are trading money at your own discretion, then hopefully some of this makes some sense to you, gives you some further insight, depending on your time frames, your risk and reward objectives and things. So again, thank you so much for listening. Want to hear your feedback about these videos, want to hear your feedback about what you're seeing, what you're reading, and what you're hearing in the cannabis sector, the cannabis industry, and of course, let us know what we can be doing to help you along the way. Hit those buttons, those likes, those subscribes. Thank you again. We'll talk soon.